How many times have you said it? Oh, I'm just not a language person. I don't have the talent. Or maybe the most common one, I'm too old, my brain just doesn't absorb it anymore. You download the new app, you buy the new course, you practice with religious dedication for 3, maybe 4 weeks, and then life happens. You miss a day, then you miss 2. 6 months later, you open the app, and you've forgotten everything except hello and where is the bathroom. You look at people on the internet, polyglots speaking 7, 8, even 12 languages, and you accept a conclusion that feels entirely logical. They are geniuses. They were simply born with a language gene that you were not. Well, today, we are going to burn that idea to the ground. The no BS truth is that talent is the most convenient excuse ever invented to justify the lack of an effective system. Polyglots do not have magical brains. They have a better process. They are engineers, not magicians. And in this video, we are going to reverse engineer that process. We will deconstruct the myth of talent and deliver the exact 5-step algorithm that polyglots use, consciously or unconsciously, to rewire their own brains and achieve mastery. And I can almost guarantee that the 4th step is the precise reason you have failed in the past. The first barrier to learning anything, especially something as complex as a language, is not in your textbook. It's not in the app. It is, quite literally, between your ears. It is the fundamental conflict between what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset operates on the belief that your abilities are innate. You are either good at math or you are not. You are either artistic or you are not. You either have the language gene or you don't. This mindset is the voice that tells you to quit at the first real obstacle. Because if you have to struggle, if you find it difficult, it must mean you don't have the talent. A growth mindset operates on a different premise. It understands that your brain is a muscle. It is plastic. Effort is not a sign of weakness. Effort is the process of getting stronger. Struggle is not a sign you are failing. Struggle is the feeling of a new neural pathway being built. When you look at history's most impressive polyglots, people like Kato Lom, a Hungarian woman who learned over 16 languages, or modern polyglots like Luca Lampariello, they all repeat the same mantra. It is not about genius. It is about passion, consistency, and above all, method. The science of neuroplasticity confirms this. Yes, a child's brain is a phenomenal sponge for passively absorbing sounds. But as an adult, you have superpowers that children cannot even dream of. You have metacognition, the ability to think about how you think. You have discipline. You can focus. And most importantly, you have a powerful, adult-sized reason for learning. Learning a language as an adult is not harder. It is simply different. A child's brain is a sponge. An adult's brain is a precision tool. The problem is that most of us try to use our precision tool as if it were a sponge, and we fail. So the very first step, the non-negotiable action, is a shift in your identity. You must stop saying, I am bad at languages. That is a fixed mindset statement. You must start saying, I am currently in the process of solving the problem of learning a language. This one cognitive shift moves you from a place of judgment to a place of engineering, and that changes everything. Now let's talk about why your high school method failed you. Why did those classes, those apps, and those textbooks all lead to a dead end? Most language classes and apps treat learning like a boring chemistry lesson. They force you to memorize the atoms of language, isolated vocabulary lists like dog, chair, table, red, and abstract grammar rules like the preterite versus the imperfect subjunctive. You spend months memorizing the periodic table of language, but you never actually learn how any of these elements react with each other to create something useful. This is boring. It is context-free, and it is completely backward. You do not learn to cook by memorizing the biochemical structure of a protein. You learn to cook by trying to make scrambled eggs. You do not learn to drive a car by reading the engine's technical manual. Polyglots, intuitively, understand this. They skip the atoms, they go straight for the molecules. They learn useful, complete phrases, chunks of language. I would like a coffee, please. Where is the train station? I do not understand. Can you repeat that? The human brain did not evolve to memorize abstract rules. It evolved to be the most powerful pattern-matching machine on the planet. Grammar is the result of successfully identifying patterns. It is not the prerequisite for identifying them. You learned the complex grammar of your native language by listening and mimicking for years before a teacher ever told you what a past participle was. The action here is radical. Abandon your obsession with grammar at the beginning. Your first goal is not to know all the rules. Your first goal is to have a 3-minute conversation, even if it's broken. You must prioritize communication over correctness. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Okay, we have shifted our mindset. We understand why the old methods failed. Now let's build the system. What do successful polyglots actually do? We've broken it down into a 5-pillar algorithm. The first pillar is comprehensible input. This is perhaps the single most important concept in all of language learning, popularized by the linguist Stephen Krashen. He calls it I+1. The I represents your current level of understanding. The +1 represents material that is just one step beyond your current level. This does not mean putting a German political podcast on in the background while you do your work. That is not input. That is just noise. Comprehensible input means actively consuming content that you find interesting and that you can mostly understand. You should be in a zone where you understand maybe 70 to 80% of the context, but that other 20 to 30% is new. It is a challenge, but it is not overwhelming. Think about it. If you watch a simple children's cartoon like Peppa Pig in your target language, you understand the context. You see a family, you see a puddle of mud. Your brain, the pattern matching machine, begins to fill in the gaps. It acquires the language passively, linking the new sounds to the context you see. This is the sweet spot. You are not bored, which would be I-1, and you are not in a state of panic, which would be I+10. You are in the flow state of learning. The action is to find your comprehensible input. This could be Netflix with the subtitles in your target language, not your native one. This is critical. You must connect the sounds you hear to the written word you see, or it could be YouTube channels about your hobby, or podcasts specifically designed for learners. Your goal is hundreds of hours of focused, comprehensible listening. So you've found all these new molecules of language from your input. Great. But your brain is literally designed to forget. The German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered this in the 1880s with his forgetting curve. His research shows that we forget as much as 80% of new information within just 48 hours. Forgetting is a feature, not a bug. Your brain does it to prevent you from being overwhelmed by useless information. To signal to your brain that a piece of information is not useless, you must recall it. Polyglots do not have better memories. They have better review systems. They hack the forgetting curve using what we call spaced repetition systems, or SRS. This is the engine that runs software like Anki or Mosalingua. Here's how it works. The software shows you a flashcard. If you recall the answer easily, it spaces it out. You won't see that card again for a few days, then a few weeks, then a few months. But if you struggle to remember it, the algorithm brings it back in 10 minutes. Then again tomorrow. It forces the information from your short-term memory into your long-term memory with maximum efficiency. This is active recall, not passive review. Rereading a list is passive. Forcing your brain to produce the answer is active. That's the heavy lifting that builds the neural pathway. The action is to use an SRS. But here is the trick. Do not make flashcards of single words. Remember, no atoms. Make flashcards of full sentences. Not dog, but I love to walk my dog. This is powerful. It contains context, grammar, and utility all in one. This is the realist pillar. Time is your most valuable asset. The Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, states that in almost any domain, 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. This is brutally true in language. The English language, for example, has over 1 million words, but the top 100 most common words make up 50% of all daily written text, the top 1,000. Most common words make up over 85% of all daily conversation, 1,000. Polyglots are ruthless project managers. They do not try to learn the dictionary. They take a surgical 80-20 approach. They identify the highest frequency words and learn those first. The most common verbs, to be, to have, to go, to want. The most common connectors, and, but, because. And the vocabulary that is relevant to their lives. The action is simple. Google 1,000 most common words in your target language. That is your new curriculum. That is your 80-20. Focus your spaced repetition system on that core 1,000 first. Be ruthless with your time. After that, focus on the words relevant to you. If you are an engineer, learn to talk about code and projects. Before, you learn the names of every animal in the zoo. This is it. This is the great filter. This is the pillar that separates the eternal student from the confident speaker. This is where almost everyone fails. You can spend 10 years mastering Pillar 1, consuming thousands of hours of comprehensible input. You can have a perfect score in your SRS app, and you still will not be able to hold a real conversation. Why? Because learning to recognize a language, input, and learning to produce a language, output, are two completely different skills. You cannot learn to play the guitar by only watching guitar videos. You cannot learn to swim by reading a book about hydrodynamics. You must get in the water. Speaking is a physical skill. It involves muscle memory in your tongue, your lips, and your larynx. It is also a high-speed, high-anxiety mental skill. You are accessing memory, building sentence structures, and listening, all at the same time. And it is profoundly uncomfortable. You will sound stupid. You will make mistakes. Your grammar will be broken. You will search for words. Your face will get hot. Your brain will scream at you to stop, to go back to the safe world of passive listening. Polyglots do not wait until they are ready. They do not wait for confidence. They build confidence through the act of speaking, even when they are not ready. They speak from day one. They speak to themselves in the shower. They narrate their day in their head. And critically, they use services like italki, Preply, or Tandem to find tutors or language partners for just a few dollars an hour. The action is non-negotiable. You must produce output. Schedule it. Put it in your calendar like a gym workout. 30 minutes, 3 times a week of dedicated speaking practice. Without this, the other pillars are just a fascinating academic exercise. What keeps you going when the initial motivation fades? What gets you through the frustration of pillar 4? It is not discipline. Discipline is a finite resource. It is purpose. If you ask most polyglots, they don't even identify as polyglots. They identify as people who are deeply passionate about something else, and language is just the tool to access it. They love French cinema. They are obsessed with K-pop. They want to read Russian philosophy. They want to talk to their spouse's family. The language is the vehicle, not the destination. I want to be fluent is a terrible, vague goal. You will never know when you've arrived. Your brain needs a concrete, measurable mission, a real reason. A real reason is, I want to watch La Casa de Papel without any subtitles. A real reason is, I want to read 100 Years of Solitude in the original Spanish. A real reason is, I want to travel to Vietnam and order street food from a vendor without just pointing. The action is to define your project. Define a clear, measurable, and fun goal. The language must be the key that unlocks an experience you genuinely desire. That love, that passion for the thing, is the fuel that will carry you through the valleys of boredom and the mountains of frustration, long after your initial motivation has disappeared. So, let's synthesize. What is a polyglot? It is not a genius. It is not a genetic mutant. A polyglot is simply a person who has successfully mastered the intersection of 3 things. First, a mindset of growth, which understands that struggle is the only way forward. Second, a system, an algorithm, one that prioritizes comprehensible input. Pillar 1, hacks memory with spaced repetition. Pillar 2, focuses efficiently on the 80-20. Pillar 3, demands uncomfortable output. Pillar 4, and is powered by a real purpose. Pillar 5. And third, a polyglot is someone who understands that language is just a tool to connect with other humans, to understand other cultures, to access new ideas, and frankly, to become a more interesting, empathetic, and capable version of yourself. You do not need a new brain. You do not need a language gene. You just need a better system and the courage to be a beginner again. The algorithm is clear. Your brain is ready. The only question that remains is, what will you build with it? Speaking of Pillar 5, your purpose, I want to hear yours. What is the one language you want to master, and what is your real reason? Is it for your career? Is it for travel? Is it for love? Is it for art? Share your why in the comments below. Let's build a community of learners right here. And if you appreciated this no BS analysis and want more practical strategies to upgrade your mind and your life, do what you already know how to do. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Welcome to the Brain Line.